To per her perspective. We
Thank
met
you.
in Florida at the WPO conference, and this is why I wanted to talk to you, being a new chapter in Dubai. But one thing I always want to know about people is what got you motivated to start your business? You're in business, you and your husband are in business together. What got you motivated to do this?
Thank you so much for having me, Marla. It's such a pleasure to be with you again. Well, I would have to say that in around 2007, which is when the Quadrillion Group really was born. We have been in business now for quite a while. And both my husband and myself, my husband's name is Sriram, and he is the founder of our company, the Quadrillion Group. We have worked with very large, of course, banking organizations, and we have always felt, and we felt very much so at the time, that there was a need to move beyond just a product sell and to combine the rigors of course, international finance, but with a very customized and a very bespoke localized approach to understanding our customers. I think it was also a fantastic time in Dubai, which was one of the most brilliant incubators for entrepreneurs at the time. And having worked all over the globe and with these large organizations like the Citibanks and the HSBCs and the American Express, and we just sat down one day and said that there's got to be a way. We're hearing from clients. We've been managing clients. This is our expertise. We are both corporate finance, specialists. And we said there's got to be a way that we establish ourselves with a business that's sector agnostic, that is actually listening to our customers and then working to resolve some of their most complex and strategic financial challenges. And this is how the Quadrillion Group was really established by my husband and myself in 2007.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I have learned with some of my clients that have international customers and relationships that just a simple thing like money transactions is not that easy,
That's true.
working with other countries.
That's so true, Mala, because I think geography brings its own jurisdiction. It brings its own, obviously, its legislation, its ecosystem, its jurisdiction. There is no one size fits all. And I think as much as we say we all work for the global behemoths and the big brands, every single market and its dynamics are completely different. And I think we'd reached that stage of having understood this. And
Good.
which is why, of course, Dubai is a wonderful place to live in. We've lived here for over 25 years now. Seemed the perfect place, a dynamic market, a market that was so bullish, just as we were, and it was a perfect recipe for setting up an entrepreneurial venture. And
Well,
we've
I've
never
had the
looked back.
pleasure of being in Dubai, and what a beautiful city. What a beautiful city.
It
Tell
really is.
me, Divyata, what was your childhood like?
I have to say, very, very very loved, very, very warm, very happy, very loved. We were a small family. So, my parents, my sister who lives in Mumbai, India, I have an older sister, and myself. And I grew up in Bangalore, which is a beautiful garden city, as they call it, of India, in the south
Yeah.
of India. And I remember, I think there are always the privileges that come with being the youngest in the family. And I remember being, cherished, nurtured, loved. And there was really, this was how, I was educated in Bangalore. My parents as well, they ran, my mother had established a travel business. So I watched my parents as entrepreneurs. And as a little child as well, I think I understood the value of that work ethic and had quite a happy childhood, just being in Bangalore and in India. And again, lots of light, sound, color. India is very vibrant, lots of fun, and yeah, those were my years. That's how I sort of grew up, and then now I've lived out of the country for over half my life. So It's like,
Yeah, India is such a fascinating place. And having entrepreneurial parents, I'm envious because I did not. I had to learn it. Besides that, was there anything else that created that fire in your belly?
I have to say very honestly that for me, the obsession at the time, and I think it was also what was so much what we were all aspiring to do, was really to have a corporate career and work with a big, large, foreign, multinational organization, to travel to all these countries with all the perks and the money that came from having a great corporate job. I think that's what I aspired to, to study towards and to become. And I don't think I really thought much. I felt that, although I watched my parents run this, and I watched my mother especially work very hard to build her travel business. I think I understood the work ethic, but I think
Okay.
somewhere there, that entrepreneurial spirit, or, I hadn't discovered it yet. And so I remember the joy and just how it was such a heady feeling to land my first job at the age of 21 or 22, fresh out of university, and just to work. I think was for me the most exciting thing, to dress up and go to work and learn new skills. And I think I'm very grateful for the fact that that is something that in my family, both my sister and myself were we witnessed. And like they say, it's not just tell them what to do, but show them how you do. We had a mother who was who got up first thing every morning, and she'd be teaching a travel and tourism class. She'd come back, she'd run her business, we'd watch clients and passengers walk in, she'd manage the accounts, the cash flow in our summer holidays, was helping her with that. So I think all of that really put a fire in my belly to say that you can't just sit down, and there are no free lunches. You have to work hard to achieve anything that you want in life. And
Right.
I think we saw it, and it's we've lived by that ethos, both my sister and myself, our whole life.
That's fantastic, and nice to have a woman mentor from the get-go. Were there any other mentors in your life that helped you with business?
Um, well, I'd have to say my husband. I think for a long time I felt that when he founded Quadrillion, and I was sitting in the comfortable corporate environment of a large global bank, I honestly couldn't hear the music or the drum beats that he could. And it was hard. I think some of us are, early adopters and, all of the rest. And I have to very honestly say that I just couldn't understand what bug had bitten him and why you would want to take on, because, this was his own choice. He wasn't driven to it. It wasn't a COVID circumstance. We were both in the prime of our careers, and I just could not understand why we needed to do this. And then I think, I credit him for, gently sort of allowing me to ease myself into the business, because over time it became apparently clear to me that I did not want a job. I wanted to build a career with our own company. And when I quit American Express and I took a small gap between that, and I published these books, and I was sort of, Mala, struggling with the direction of, I'm a commercial payment expert, I've done corporate finance. What do I want to do next? Do I want to apply and put my CV out in the market again? Do I want to join our business? And I think I am so glad that he, as I said, the approach was not aggressive. It was very gentle. It was providing me enough information and support, but not in an overwhelmingly, sort of a strong way, because I am very independent and I've been, a career professional myself. And I think I found my way. I found my place. It's not the easiest thing for a husband and a wife to work together, as you can imagine, because we
That
partner
that
each
was
other.
gonna that was gonna be my next question. So,
Yes,
what
yes.
are the conversations
Um,
around the
I
dinner table? Do you have
Yeah. So
calm discussions
I
or
think we I think I suffered from imposter syndrome the early days because I was like, I don't want to step on his toes. He is on the client management side and he drives the business. But I think, again, because of the nature of his personality, and I think most mentors are that way, is that there is a tremendous amount of confidence that he brings to the table. So I think he allowed me to really just fall back on my own skill sets. And, I began to drive the, strategic marketing, the communications, the business development side. I began to manage the regulatory aspects of the business. I began to take ownership, for the
Yeah.
fact that whatever this is ours. And
Hmm.
nobody is going to give you an invitation or a seat at the table.
Right.
When you own a business, you have to really put yourself forward. You have to find those opportunities even within the system. And you have
Yeah.
to just bring your best to the table every single day, and there's no one single person, if this succeeds, then, we both have succeeded. So I
Right.
think once I began to understand that, Marla, it was not about you versus me. It's very much the us. It's very much the group. We have a wonderful
Hmm.
team, and we make sure that we complement each other and do not challenge each other in ways that are not required.
Yeah. Good. Well, for him to have the vision almost 20 years ago in a place like Dubai to see the possibilities, that's quite the visionary.
He is. He is.
Yeah.
And
Good.
I mean,
Good
I
for
say
him.
I say say that in a very unbiased way myself. But I think very few of us. I think most of us are pushed sometimes to entrepreneurship when
Hmm.
either you're out of a job, or you're trying to figure the next chapter. There are very few people who have the courage to walk away from everything that's going perfectly well.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that was why it took me a little while to see that picture.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's what makes an entrepreneur. And I'm glad that he was able to sense that there would be a huge opportunity in this market to come.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. I'd have to say, being a CPA, I had to join a peer group and be around other entrepreneurs so I could get what they were thinking and how they were thinking and how that worked, because it's not
It's
like
not there.
other
It's,
business people. When you
yeah,
start a business, it's a
you're right.
certain
You're
mindset
right. Yeah. There's a lot
and
of
you don't have
self
a safety
learning.
net.
You don't. You don't. I think in big corporations, we have peers, we have systems, we have processes, we have trainings. I watched him go from managing these huge teams to sitting alone, in front of a laptop and figuring it out and
Hmm.
learning. And so I think there's a lot of leave your ego outside the door.
Yeah.
And he did that, and he was able to do that. And I think for me, that was the most inspiring thing, because I think
Yeah.
when you leave the large brands and the names and your identity is so tagged onto them, Mala,
Hmm.
it's very hard, because everything that you're establishing on your own is sort of a non-entity,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you have to create that identity all over
Yeah.
again. You have
You're
to
nothing
cultivate
until you're
that
something.
respect. Of
Yeah.
course, and you're only as good as your last win, and everybody
Hmm.
wants proof of concept. And so
Yeah.
it's entrepreneurship is only for those who truly have, I wouldn't even say fire, I would say a raging inferno in the belly.
Yeah, that is a good way to put it. That is a good way to put it. Now, you're a writer, which is amazing. Tell me about what you have written.
Uh, so, so here's the thing. Having lived, as you said, in Dubai, which is honestly, I believe, one of the most exciting places on earth, and being a financial services professional, I had the story in my head. And the whole time I was in all my banking jobs, I kept thinking the first thing I want to do when I leave my job is to take a break and get the story out from my head and on paper. And that's actually exactly what I did. I felt, Mala, my books are contemporary crime fiction. Instead of setting them as, it's Dubai is really the hero or the heroine of all my novels. That's the backdrop. I felt it was very, very, very contemporary. It's modern. It's not only the Arab noir, or it's not only the cultural aspects of this place, but it is a global metropolis.
Hmm.
And I was obviously closest to the expat Asian diaspora, which is what I belong to. I am Indian. You have a lot of non-resident Indians and, Asians here. And I just thought, what the hell? Let me go for it. Let me write a colorful, glamorous, riveting, true story of what life is like. And in the midst of it, because I'm a big, big, huge fan of crime fiction myself, there's a really sexy plot in there, and it's that there's a lot of twists and turns and plots and thriller, and in the process, I navigated this whole journey of becoming an author in the Middle East and in UAE. I had to go back to ground zero and learn what publishing was all about. I had to learn how it's a business like any other.
It
So I
is.
would say the writing of the book was possibly the easiest part, because that was my dream, and I'm a storyteller, and I'm a marketing person. I love to communicate. But I think the challenge for me was, now you've written this manuscript. How do I find a publisher? How do I get readers in the UAE to pick it up? How do I get this book to go globally? Which markets? How do I get onto literary festivals? How will people know me as an author?
Hmm.
And I think it's so interesting that even though it was I did a deep dive into creativity, my business skills, Marla, hugely helped me in terms of really what I call making me an entrepreneur, which is, I said, this is now my baby. I want this baby to be clothed. I want it to be presented to the world in the best possible way. And that's just what I did. And so I think when people ask me, is it this or that? I think it's the sum total of who I am.
Yeah.
It's the creative economy sits side by side with business, with the strategic economy as well. Everything's a story. Everything is about,
Yeah.
we are storytelling, advocacy to our customers, to our clients. It's quite seamless, really.
And one thing I think is very important, and I know when I was running a business, I think creativity helps to improve the business. What do you think?
For sure. I think for sure. I think the one big important thing, and I think I would really thank COVID for this in that sense. I mean, it was a terrible time, so I'm not taking that away, of course. But I think what it did was that it reminded us, especially when many of us were working from home, especially when many of us were like, now what do we do?
Yeah.
Kind of a situation.
Yeah.
Creativity, whether it was writing a poem or painting something, or it was so therapeutic.
Yeah.
People would sit and tell me that you'd really go back to how it was when we were kids, when you
Yeah.
were allowed the time and space to imagine. and
Yeah.
and I've
Yeah.
always been a big one to visualize and imagine things, and have these conversations between the different characters playing out, and it was just so much fun. I
So
enjoyed it.
you have to tell me the name of your books and where
Of
do I
course,
find them?
I have to say the most wonderful thing is that the books are now available globally, apart from, of course, Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and a lot of bookstores in the US and globally. So there are three books. The first one is If You Only Knew Me, which was my debut novel. And I'm lucky to say that I belong to a huge country like India, so I have the books just exploded. It went all over the world, and we had a huge reader base. And I then wrote my second book in 2019. It's called Somewhere in the Shadows. And last year, I actually just launched my third book, which is a sequel to the first, which is called The Secrets We Keep. And they're all very much contemporary fiction thrillers. And when people tell me they're so intrigued with Dubai and this mystery, I'm very excited, because I think that the books are a perfect portrayal and a very exciting dimension of what it
So
means to live here these days.
I've studied writing for many years because one of these days I'll publish my book, one of these days. But we talk about the a place being a character. And
Of
so it sounds
course,
like you've made Dubai
of
really
course,
a character in your
it is.
books.
It is. It is. It's center stage. And I think the setting of a novel is what is so important to a reader. It brings a
Yeah.
certain nuance. And that's what I was hoping to achieve. And hopefully I did.
Yeah. Sounds like you did. And I'm going to be reading your books.
Thank you,
Perfect.
Marla.
What are one or two things that you think have made a positive impact in your business?
Um, I'd have to say that right at the start, I think one of the big things, Mala, was the fact that when Sriram, when he founded Quadrillion, um, he has always, and we have always envisaged Quadrillion and as not just as a company, a locally set up company. When we say our tagline is Quadrillion beyond boundaries. And we have truly put that in action because from day one, we have expanded that jurisdiction of operations and we have collaborated with partner networks and we have made sure that all of our, this gives us visibility into cross border deals. And we are, end of the day, we are a corporate finance, we are an M&A, we are a corporate advisory firm. And visibility is critical in our business. And it is not, it's very difficult if we just sit in a silo, dispensing products and services to a small geography here. Uh, we found that that has really, and because he did it right at the start of the business, not after we had achieved a certain scale, I think that established us as a global player. We are part of something called the Global Alliance Partner Network. We have alliances that we've established with similar founder led firms. And
Mhm.
because of that, we find that what are learnings from one part or a challenge that is, a problem that somebody is trying to, we worked on, for instance, a student housing or some sort of an accommodation requirement from one part of the globe and managed to find a solution for it, what they were looking for in our part of the world, in the GCC. So I think this is what people miss quite often is that the learnings, it's the world is really not as big as you think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the minute you're collaborating, the minute you're talking to people, the business insights and it's just made us so much sharper 10 steps ahead of local competition because of the fact that clients know that with us they are getting the entire picture and that
Yeah.
our learnings have also come from across the globe.
Yeah. So wherever you're doing business, a company like the Quadrillion Group can help you. So
Absolutely.
that's
So we stay sector agnostic. So we work across, real estate, healthcare, education, all of the rest. We're sector
yeah.
agnostic. And we stay absolutely, as I said, we don't confine ourselves just to one geography.
Yeah. Is there anything you wish you had done sooner? Like you just started this not that long ago, but wish we had started that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, yeah. I have to honestly say when it comes to, when it comes to me, that I really wish I had just joined the business sooner. I think that, when we're scaling up as well, and in terms of, the financial part of it, the accounting, the several areas of our operations, where as owners, we know why we want to have a very, very firm, you can't do it all, and I think my husband's had a brilliant team, but as the founder, and I think, there's only that much, your time is absolutely, you're hard pressed for time.
Yeah.
And so I think in terms of this, strategically and the growth and really being a trusted partner there and a business owner, I should have, my only regret is I didn't take the leap sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any disciplines that you are using that you want to share with others that you feel are good for business management?
Um, Well, I mean, I think the first one sounds boring, but as any entrepreneur will tell you, is critical, and we live by it, is cash flow. Be obsessed with cash flow, no matter
Yes.
how big you are. And as they say, revenue is vanity, but cash flow is sanity. And
Hmm.
I think that's something that I've seen from day one. And we're still here, very much in business. And when we have, I mean, especially like now, of course, and then the COVID years, we have so many external factors that is sort of choking us in terms of the mobility of capital or payments or from clients, and slowing down this whole process. And we have a team of people, we have employees, we have a business to run. That I'm very grateful for the fact that as an approach and as a discipline to the business, we stay cash flow obsessed, because we have seen a lot of this coming, and we have taken adequate covers so that we're not in any kind of a chokehold
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now. And I'm grateful for that. And I think the only other thing I would say is really to stay hungry and stay humble.
Yeah.
The first day after a great win, in fact, we just had one, which I'm very happy to say a couple of days back. And the very next day is often for us the busiest day, Mala, because we do not allow ourselves or our team the complacency to sit back and dwell on that for too long. It's a busy, busy day planning, and as crazy as I used to think, let's have a let the celebration last the week at least. I've understood now that you just have to keep moving,
Yeah.
and you have.
Celebration lasts 15 minutes and
It
then let's go.
does. It does. You congratulate each other and then your whole team, and then you're back. We're doing what we need to do. So
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
discipline again, and I'm happy for it. I think it's important never to get too carried away with
Right.
a business's success.
Yeah, because there you always need that next one. One of my key people said, "Oh, we've just done a great thing. Can't we just coast a little?" And what direction is that?
Yeah,
Downhill.
exactly.
Do you have work-life balance? Is that something that's in your world, or do you struggle with that?
Absolutely. No, no, I think absolutely. I believe it's extremely important for health and wellness.
Yeah.
I'm a professional. I sing as well. I love music. I sing Western music. I learned Indian classical Hindustani vocal music from my mother, who unfortunately passed away last year, very sadly.
Oh,
And so music for me is therapy. So when I'm not writing, when I'm not singing, I love travel. And I think just when I don't allow consciously, I try not to allow stress and anxiety to really get to me. It
mhm.
was a very rough past few months, as I said, because I unfortunately, my mother passed away. And I'm grateful for work life balance, because I think that we don't live, and our mind certainly doesn't live in silos. And I am very cognizant of the fact that mental wellness depends on finding the right balance. And I'm glad that I discovered these creative pursuits and, everything else, because when any one area of life is getting too intense, whether it's work or whether it's, the domestic life or it's anything else, it's great to be able to take a step back. And
Yeah.
I'm a big one for breathe, smell the roses. You are important, not the situation. And
Right.
I
Yeah.
believe in putting myself, in prioritizing my wellness.
Yeah. If you keep yourself healthy, then you can keep working.
Of course, of course.
That's good. You're an amazing person, a singer also. I you just do everything. Is there
No, that's
anything you
not true.
can't do?
That's not true. That's not true at all. Lots, I'm sure.
Oh, wow. So if I asked one of your employees how you are as a boss, what would they say?
I mean, again, to be brutally honest, I think they'd probably say I was exacting, but also empathetic. I have to say that I do have a high expectation in terms of that quality output, and we are a small firm, so it's important for us to really bring our best out there every day. I do have fairly exacting standards in terms of that, but I also have a very high emotional intelligence. And I think that gets me being tuned into people. And I do sense when an employee is struggling with achieving a particular objective or a goal. And I think Sriram's not that different. My husband's not that different. So I think, yes, we're not going to cut off your head to get that result or anything like that. I think as a team, it's important. You need good people with you. You have to have emotional intelligence. You have to collaborate. Sometimes we're having an awful day. Everybody is human. So I
Hmm.
think it's important to stay, of course, have those standards. People need to know and be very, very clear and precise about what we want and how those deliverables outline that very clearly, the goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we don't only run our life by KPIs.
Yeah. Good. Well, KPIs are important, but the entire person
Of
is more
course.
important. Can't
Yeah,
do it all
for sure.
ourselves, and we need
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's where, when you set up a business and as an entrepreneur, there are so many things you don't want to, right? There are great things about corporate life and employment, and there are not so great things. And I think as
Right.
employers, the one thing you want to do is you want to learn from those situations. And you want to
Yeah.
create an environment where people are genuinely happy to come to work every day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. It's hard to do, but I
It
think it's
is. But
worthwhile.
you
And
you
then people
try. I mean,
appreciate your company. Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
What is the hardest experience that you've had while running a business?
I It's honestly been at the start of the business, Mala, which I detailed a little, and I can't say that I was a part of all of that, but I've been there in the wings and I've seen the start and that early stage. And I think it's establishing that, really reclaiming that credibility, establishing the business, getting some of those big client mandates, the first ones, getting all of that documentation, learning, sort of pitching with the big boys and knowing that you are a novice firm, you're so tiny. That and facing like 200 rejections from large clients. I think
Hmm.
there's no romanticizing it. I think the journey of an entrepreneur is that's how it is. If you
Yeah.
can't take
It's hard.
those punches, yeah, if you can't take those, absolute, kicks in the gut and whatever else it is, and you roll with it. So I think
Yeah.
that part, watching that was, it was quite nerve-wracking.
So,
So
one thing I learned in running a smaller business is you have the ability to move and do things much faster than some of the larger businesses, though, right? Did you find that as an opportunity for the Quadrillion Group?
absolutely, absolutely. I think that your agility is a lot more. There's a
Hmm.
lot less bureaucracy. There's
Yeah.
a lot less, we have an ability to pivot as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
I mean, Mala, or I may have already shared with you that even when I was in Miami, I literally, Carolyn Howell was talking to me about an opportunity at a small business convention in DC. And it literally took me 5 minutes to sit with her. And, I changed my ticket and I decided that I was going to be in DC instead. And I wanted to attend a particular convention. There was something that you wanted. So, I think this ability to, we get so straitjacketed otherwise. And in a
Hmm.
smaller firm, it is possible for us to actually act on what is it that our clients are telling us. How is it that we need to
Yeah.
change our approach and pivot? And
Right.
when we do that, people are honestly delighted because nobody has the time
Yeah.
now to cut through layers of jargon and bureaucracy.
Right.
It's just time is money.
Yeah.
And so we are exactly where we say we'll be. We're consistent. We show up. We're agile, and we get the job done. And I think even the large clients are now, are absolutely happy to go with firms who deliver results on the spot,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
are
They've
listening to
got to
them.
appreciate the fact that you can move faster than your
Of
competitors.
course, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pricing wise as well, so many things. You're competitive. You have to be
Mhm.
competitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it is.
Do you have any business books that you would recommend?
Coming out of course, our WPO, I have to say that I just read the Long Game, the Dory Clark book, which is how to be a long-term thinker in a short-term
Mhm.
world, and
Dory
it was
was a
interesting.
speaker at the
Dory
conference.
was a keynote speaker at the
Mhm.
WPO conference, so I loved that book. A lot of very valuable insights there, especially with all that's going on in our part of the world. It's important for us to hold on to that strategic vision, and not think of the next 5 months ahead, but think of we're still going to be here 15 years ahead.
Mhm.
And that takes it takes huge leaps of faith. And so this was a good book for me to read, especially now. And interestingly, I realized that maybe one of the reasons I liked it so much was because I also hugely enjoyed the Simon Sinek book, The Infinite Game, and which talks about developing this infinite mindset vis-a-vis the finite mindset, which is about the long, again, a long game, where, players change, situations change, but where this whole goal is really, is about sustaining oneself and
Yeah.
sustaining one's business, not
Yeah.
just who reached the finish line first.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
I've
I would
learned
have to say
not everybody can think about next year or 5 years or 10 years from now. This is not
it's
in
hard.
everybody's ability to do so.
It's yes, it's hard for sure, and which is why I like to sometimes read some of these, because I think it helps you even when your mindset is getting very tactical in nature,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
obviously transactional and stressed. It helps us to see the big picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did we
Yeah,
create this? Where are we trying to go with this?
yeah. And we need to be thinking about working on the business, not in the business. And when you
Of
think
course,
about
yeah,
the strategies versus the
and
tactical, it helps you.
very true. And I think,
Yeah.
Dory Clark puts it beautifully when she says, a lot of people think, Mala, that if you are doing that, then you're not focused on achieving your immediate goals or your business goals or the transactions and everything else. But like she says so beautifully, it is about the balance between the heads up and the heads down, right?
Right.
So that
Yeah.
you are doing everything that needs to be done while maintaining an exploratory a vision. I mean, having that big picture
Yeah.
insight.
Yeah. So, do you have any podcasts that you recommend?
Her podcast with Marla Noel,
Per her perspective.
of course.
Oh, thank you for that. Well, so you're a fairly new WPO member. How would you say WPO has already helped you with running your business?
I would have to say that I think it's these the stages that a new member
Mm.
goes through when you join any new organization, and it's no different for WPO. So the last months or so was a little, yes, it was a lovely group of people, and but each of us trying to really find a foothold, and we've not been having the best year in terms of all the external circumstances.
Mhm.
But then I think that, understanding how the peer view, the process works, I think there's this nice little dynamic now that's forming with some of the members in our chapter. There are some interesting new prospect members who also we're looking forward to. There's going to be a little retreat as well at the end of this month in Dubai. So we get a chance to get off, and be together and have some leadership sessions, and I think so for me, I think it's honestly, it's been evolving, but evolving very well. Um, and Miami, of course, was a huge turning point, gave me a much, much bigger perspective. I'm so glad I came, met wonderful people. I think with all organizations, Mala, once you've committed to it, for me, it's very important that I have to know the entirety of it. I
Yeah.
have to understand, that it's more because you have so many networking organizations, and I'm a part of, many organizations myself. So I think WPO, in that sense, I felt it was quite, it really, it's standing out as quite different, and I'm greatly enjoying being a member.
Yeah. It is so much more than networking. And I've heard people think when they are not familiar with what WPO does, they think of it as a networking group when they don't know it. But when they actually get into a group and they listen to the issue process and they listen to the learning with the peers, then they understand that it is the people that you're in the room with that you're learning from and gaining so much more of a
Very true.
broader
Very
base
true.
for business knowledge.
And I found, honestly, and I never expected this, but when I was at Miami, um, even as a new chapter member, I found so many people, including yourself, who were genuinely curious, forthcoming, eager to, sort of give us whatever information, collaborate with us, provide us that information, provide us that support. And I just think, that's beautiful. That's not something, that's clearly a culture that has been created within WPO. And
Yeah.
I mentioned this to Camille as well. I've said this to Annie as well, that I think that is so powerful, is
Yeah.
that it's not just a template or a set of rules. I think we come from diverse parts of the globe, but whether it was Julia from Switzerland or yourself, I think we just, you or Caroline, or I just met the most wonderful, forthcoming, positive people. And that's
Yeah.
huge for any organization to achieve.
It is wonderful. I travel with some of the people from South Africa, and they're so
Yes,
fun.
with Tara as well. I know, and Tara was wonderful. I was reading about it on her LinkedIn, and that's amazing.
You are a founding member of the Dubai chapter and a member of the Dubai Business Women's Council. I'm just curious. It has not always been easy for women to start businesses in that part of the world. How are you finding that now, especially with a country like Dubai where there are so many opportunities?
When you look at Dubai and you look at our government and you look at the UAE government, Mala, the interesting thing is that, there is such a huge representation, almost 70% representation of women in our government. So I think that
Nice.
absolutely, I would have to say that, especially, I can only speak for Dubai and for the UAE, really, is that it is a country that gives tremendous opportunities. So the opportunities are there for the taking. I think possibly where we're at now is that a lot more of the younger generation, people are educated, have built the skill sets. It's not only the expats who are running, expatriates, different nationalities who are running
Mm.
different businesses, foundations, of entrepreneurs. I think it's now, really, it's we are, it's cross sectional. You have, there's a lot of integration between public and private. And I have to say that as a woman, not only as a woman entrepreneur, but as a woman author, in and having a big foothold in the creative economy as well, I have only the best things to say, because I have really found that if you, I think a lot of people have all these locks in their mind, and so they don't approach these the powers that be, or they don't approach organizations for, really for opportunities to find out how can you incubate, how do you help me with this. But the and this is a message which the Business Women's Council as well, Dubai Chambers, is consistently saying and putting out to entrepreneurs, is that don't, you can't just sit there and wait for a miracle. You have to be out there like with any other market. Tell us what you do. You're bringing your skills, you're bringing your talent, you're bringing your businesses to the forefront. You have specific blueprints. Dubai is fantastic in the way that all the decision making is really data driven. It's very scientific. It's data driven. So I would really have to say, having witnessed it over 25 years now in this country, that for men or women entrepreneurs who have a very clear cut blueprint, a strategic plan, a plan of action, you've established your business, all the legalities, there is absolutely no limit to the support that you get from government and from infrastructure. I think where the problems sometimes come about is because people try to just come here, get something quickly off the block, and it's not in tandem with the way things are supposed to be done. So those are challenges which that's why I think, and it's one of the things we do as well, is that we, as Quadrillion, is that we provide a soft landing platform for businesses wanting to establish in the Middle East, North Africa region, India, Sri
So
Lanka.
you have to, yeah, you
You
have
have
to
to have a
have good
partner
business
who
practices.
understands, who understands the
Yeah.
jurisdiction, who can tell you exactly what is required and how it's required, and help
Yeah.
you to prioritize, to
Yeah.
do things the proper way, and it's seamless.
So you
So I
help
think that's the
businesses
little
come into Dubai
we do.
and
We
work with
do,
the local
and
government and mm, yeah,
yes,
that
yes, we do.
and such a
And
valuable partner in growing a business because there's so much opportunity in Dubai
no,
and how to uh,
that's it's
be integrate somebody into that business world.
that's very true. I think, when we talk to our partners from all over the globe, it's a bit of a black hole if you don't have a trusted partner with global
Yeah.
expertise.
Yeah.
Who has navigated different geographies, who has all of the understanding, and therefore, it's can help you to customize. And
So
we've
if
just
you're a business
established.
operator and you want to do business in Dubai and you're listening to this podcast, contact the Quadrillion Group and they can help you. Right?
Absolutely. Looking
Okay, good.
forward to.
That's our commercial for today. Now
Always
you're
needed.
always needed, and you you do so much, and you also are involved in promoting literature, and you are a speaker in the international literary festivals, like the Emirates Airlines Festival of Literature. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, when I went on the writing journey, I actually I coincided with a lady who has been extremely, really my creative mentor of sorts, and has been extremely inspiring to me, called Isobel Abulhul. She is the head of the Emirates Literature Foundation and a godmother of everything literary, really, in our part of the world. And I got a great understanding of, really, like I said, how publishing, how distribution, what this entire ecosystem was about. And that helped me to also get an opportunity to be, we actually have one of the world's largest literary festivals, the Emirates Airlines Festival of Literature, which is brought out by the Emirates Literature Foundation. And you have the Sharjah International Book Fair, which is a different emirate. You have the Abu Dhabi International Book Fair. So I think across the UAE, they are very, very involved, not just locally, but in a lot of international publishing and book fairs as well, and literary fairs.
Nice.
And this was a surprise to me, but it was a great opportunity because I actually, when my first book, and I had this whole opportunity to really be on a panel with some other international authors. It was a huge, really a deep dive for me to sort of understand and take on this mantle of being a cultural and a creative advocate for the UAE. Um, it's still something that I managed also, Marla, to integrate back into our business because, we have a vertical called Idea Tree,
Oh,
and Idea Tree is all about creative consulting. It's like you said, you enjoyed the travel so much. It's the experiential economy. So
yeah.
it is using storytelling and cultural advocacy and building these wonderful narratives. If I were to invite you, for instance, or put a group of lovely ladies like I met in Miami who said, we are dying to visit Dubai. idea tree is really about creating those small groups. And in fact, I mean, Tara, I have to get on a call with Tara because I've been looking at all the wonderful things she's been doing and thinking there are so many synergies
Oh,
with that.
absolutely.
But as far as India is concerned, as far as the UAE is concerned, I am now very firmly established in this ecosystem. And so we're really looking at, putting together those experiential, those tours for people who come here and then dig, scratch the surface. So you don't just visit the sites like a tourist, but you have, for instance, poetry under the stars in the desert, or an
Mm,
absolutely evocative, learning about the history of the pearl divers, or, engaging with our region in a way where the stories are truly unforgettable and the experience is unforgettable.
yeah.
And so I'm, involved in speaking to a lot of the government stakeholders about this and showcasing our beautiful, beautiful, I'm in love, Mala, with the place I live in. I'm
Yeah.
honestly in love with the UAE, even though I'm not Emirati,
I can
and so
tell.
I think as a storyteller, this is my, it's my opportunity. I would love to showcase the beauty of this region globally. And so that is what
I
Idea Tree
hope
is trying.
I hope I can get a chance to be there for the literary festival. And Emirates Airline,
Perfect.
I'd have to say, so the last time I came back from India, we flew Emirates. I convinced a friend to not fly another airlines. And after she was on the plane for about an hour and she was sitting a little catter corner from me, she looked at me and she said, Marla, I love you. I am so grateful you convinced me to fly this airline. They come up to
It's
you
the
and they say,
best.
it's time for us to make your bed now. It
I
is a
mean,
wonderful, wonderful airline.
I flew 18 hours from LA to Dubai, and still telling people, I said, I don't care. It's my home. I step on the aircraft and I feel I'm going home. I'm coming home.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's just wonderful.
Yeah. Is there anything, any questions I have not asked you that you wished I'd asked you?
Ah, I think you've asked me almost all of it, but I think maybe there's just the one thing that you haven't asked me is what really gets me going every morning.
Oh, what is it that gets you going?
I think it's finding the day's problem that I need to solve, as basic as that. But I think, yeah, I do feel that, we're so remarkably blessed that when we are alive and you bring those energies to the table and your problem solving abilities, and that's something that AI will never take from us. And,
Mhm.
those challenges are what I look forward to every single day, in terms of driving our initiatives forward, in terms of really finding the kind of solutions that we're looking for. And yeah, it's what gives me the reason to keep going. So that's what
Nice,
it is.
nice. You wake up and you're looking forward to those problems because they're really opportunities, aren't they?
They really are. They're opportunities in disguise. As an entrepreneur, I think this is so true, is that our head is always buzzing with a million different opportunities and prospects and things and priorities.
Yeah,
And I've never felt as excited as I do about what is this day going to be looking like.
yeah.
And and having the opportunity to shape that vision. So
Well, you
that's really
are an
it.
incredible person, Divyata. I am so grateful that
Thank you,
I
Marla.
met you in Florida at the WPO Entrepreneurial Forum. You're wonderful. And I'm just so
The
grateful
same.
you agreed to be on my podcast.
I'm
And
just
I
so
look forward to
delighted.
talking more so we can figure out how
And
we can get these people to Dubai to see
we
more,
should.
to see your country
I
because
I
it
will.
is a beautiful city.
I would love to, and we will be putting something together. And, because we filter it by interests, even if you have literary interests or you have, other things, culture and heritage, and whichever part that you're interested in or activities, I'm trying to really evolve something where we can present this and something, for WPO and India as well, of course, which is my country of my birth and my home
Yeah.
country. So, Mala, I am so grateful to you for your friendship and for just being so warm from the very first second that I met you in Miami, and wishing you, fabulous things with Per as well as your, of course, your business. And thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Good. Sorry, Divyata. You wanted to mention one more thing.
Well, I just wanted to say that we are most excited, Mala, to be launching our partnership and our collaboration for the Latin American markets with a wonderful firm called Hayu. Hayu has been well established in Ecuador, and together with our partners there at Hayu, a wonderful lady called Carolina Castillo, who is our business partner there. And Hayu really is going to help Quadrillion represent our, to our businesses here. The LATAM is not an easy geography or a jurisdiction with lots of different countries, and the regulatories and the business ecosystems are totally different across the block. And so it helps us to have a trusted partner there, and together with Hayu, we will be, they provide a soft landing services for businesses looking to establish in Latin America. And we are very excited. It's been a big area and a region of priority for us. And we're just on the verge of making a big announcement about the Hayu and the Quadrillion partnership. And it's wonderful that I'm putting it out first on the Per Her podcast.
We're going into Ecuador. What's the name of the company again?
It's called Hayu, Hayu, and together Quadrillion and Hayu. So if there's anything that you need to speak to me about or any opportunities that we can engineer for you with them, we'd be very, very happy to, we would present this, of course, to the market very shortly.
Good, good. Thank you, Divyata, for sharing that. Going into Ecuador, that's so exciting. And really, when you're in business and you're going into a new country, you need a partner to help get through some of the paperwork and challenges
You need
that
a
you have
trusted
going into
partner
a
for
country
sure.
that you're not familiar with. So that's a very good add. So thank you so much. And Divyata, it
Thank you,
was
Marla.
wonderful to talk to you. And this is Marla Noel with Per Her Perspective. And I hope you follow me and you rate the podcast and make sure that you subscribe. And I'm on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.